You have already crossed the threshold. There is no return. Look at you, blade in hand, body still, mind at war with itself. You have been sitting in this position for years, not in meditation, but in paralysis. The samurai who prepares forever is not a samurai. He is a statue. Stone does not bleed, stone does not fail, but stone also never strikes. You have chosen the safety of stillness over the danger of the draw. And in that choice, you have already lost. The battlefield does not wait for the man who is still thinking about entering it. The blade has not tasted air in months. It sits in its scabbard, preserved, protected, perfect, and completely useless. You tell yourself you are waiting for the right moment, but the steel knows the truth. There is no right moment. There's only the draw or the rust. Every day you delay, the metal forgets its purpose. Every day you wait, the edge grows duller in the dark. A blade that never strikes is not a weapon. It is a monument to the fear of the man who carries it. Draw now. Your feet are rooted, not by chains, by the weight of your own questions. What if the path is wrong? What if I am not ready? What if I fail? These are not questions. They are the voice of a man who has already decided to stay. The fog does not clear for the one who waits. It clears for the one who walks into it. The path reveals itself only beneath moving feet, never beneath still ones. You have been standing at the edge of your life for too long. The fog is not your enemy. Your frozen foot is. Look at the sand beneath your feet. The patterns are broken, destroyed by the frantic pacing of a mind that cannot find its center. You try to rake your life into perfect order, but your thoughts are a storm that ruins every line you draw. You seek clarity through more thinking, yet the more you calculate, the more the dust rises. You cannot find stillness by thinking about stillness. You cannot settle the sand with trembling hands. Drop the rake. Stop the noise. Reality is not complicated. Your overthinking is the only chaos that exists. The sand does not wait, it falls, indifferent, relentless, without mercy for your elaborate plans. Every grain is a moment you spent thinking about who you might become, instead of being that man. You treat time like a vast ocean. It is not. It is a waterfall, cascading into the void, and it does not flow back up. The world rewards the strike, not the thought of the strike, not the plan of the strike itself. While you stand here measuring the weight of possibility, the vessel is emptying. Your life is not a rehearsal. The sand is falling now. The stones are placed, but the work remains undone. You have everything required to build something beautiful: the vision, the materials, the knowledge, everything except the courage of the hand. You stare at the stones, debating their placement, fearing a mistake that only you would ever see. This is the tragedy of the overthinker. The vision exists, but the hand refuses to move. An unfinished garden is just a pile of cold stone. The beauty only emerges when thinking stops and the body begins. The first line does not need to be perfect. It only needs to exist. Draw it. In your sleep, you are the master, the decisive warrior, the man of total action. In your dreams, you strike without hesitation, move without doubt, live without fear. But the sun does not warm the dreamer. It only warms the man in the field. your mental victories are ghosts. They steal your hunger for the real thing. You wake up exhausted from battles that never happened, satisfied by wins that have no weight. This internal feast is making you soft. You're full on the idea of yourself, and that fullness is killing your real life. Wake up. The field is waiting. The gate stands open. It has always been open. And still you remain on the threshold, calculating the risk, measuring the road, waiting for a certainty that will never arrive. You want a guarantee before you lace your sandals. There's none. There's only the gate and the road beyond it. By staying here, you have already made your choice, the worst one, not failure, not defeat. The failure to begin. The gate is not what locks you, your mind is the lock. One step does not require courage. It only requires the decision to stop thinking. Just step through. The master does not think before he strikes. The thought and the strike are one. Between the opening and the cut, there is nothing. No calculation, no doubt, no internal negotiation. This is not recklessness. This is the highest form of clarity. You have been taught that thinking more leads to better decisions. In the arena of life, this is a lie. More thinking leads to more hesitation. More hesitation leads to more defeat. The mind that is truly sharp does not deliberate. It perceives and it moves. Thinking is preparation. MUSHIN is the sword itself. The water does not decide to reflect the moon. It simply reflects. No calculation, no effort. No question of whether the reflection is accurate enough. The water is empty, and in that emptiness, it holds everything perfectly. This is the state you're chasing. Not the absence of mind, but the absence of interference. Your thoughts are the wind on the surface. They distort the reflection, destroy the image, create noise where there should be silence. Calm the surface. The reflection has always been perfect. Your thinking is the only thing that was ever in the way. The archer does not think about the arrow. He does not think about the wind, the distance, or the weight of the bow. He becomes the target. The separation between the man and the aim dissolves, and in that dissolution, the arrow finds its own way. This is not mysticism. It is the mechanics of mastery. Your thinking creates distance between you and your action. Every analytical thought is a wall between the intent and the result. The arrow does not need your permission to fly. Release the bow. Release the thought. Let the body do what it already knows. The bamboo does not analyze the storm. It does not calculate the optimal angle of resistance. It simply bends, fully, immediately, without deliberation. And because it does not resist with thought, it survives what rigid things cannot. You are rigid, not because you are strong, but because you are thinking too hard about how to be flexible. The body knows how to adapt. The body knows how to survive. But the thinking mind overrides the body's wisdom with its own noise. Stop consulting the mind for what the body already knows. Bend. Survive. Rise. The swordsmith does not think about each hammer strike. After 10,000 repetitions, the hands know, the body knows. The rhythm of the work has been absorbed so deeply that thought would only disrupt it. This is the destination of all training, the place where skill drops below the level of conscious thought and becomes instinct. You are not there yet because you have not done the 10,000 repetitions. You have been thinking about the 10,000 repetitions. There is a difference. One builds the blade, The other builds nothing. Put down the thought. Pick up the hammer. You come to every situation already full of expectations, full of analysis, full of the conclusions you drew before the experience began. A cup that's already full cannot receive anything new. Your mind, overloaded with thought, cannot perceive what is actually in front of it. You see what you expected to see. You hear what you planned to hear. You miss the reality because your thoughts have already replaced it with a simulation. Empty the cup, not permanently, but for this moment, for this action, for this breath. What is real can only enter an empty vessel. The master calligrapher does not hesitate. The brush touches the paper and the stroke is made. Complete, committed, irrevocable. There is no undo. There is no revision. The quality of the mark is the direct product of the quality of the mind in that single moment of contact. No thought before, no regret after. Just the stroke and then the silence. This is what you are chasing, not the perfect outcome, but the perfect presence. The ink does not lie. It shows exactly where your mind was when the brush fell. Be there fully, or do not pick up the brush. Strike the bell and step back. The sound needs no help. It does not need to be guided, analyzed, or improved after the moment of impact. It simply resonates, perfectly, completely, for as long as it must. Action works the same way. You strike, and then you release. You act, and then you trust. The overthinker cannot release. He chases the bell after he strikes it, trying to shape the sound with his hands. But the sound is already beyond him. The action is already in the world. Trust what you have set in motion. Step back. Let it resonate. Close your eyes. See the man you're becoming. Not 5 years from now. He's already taking shape today. He's the man who thought about starting but never did, who planned the journey but never left, who sharpened the blade but never drew it. He carries the weight of everything he almost did, and that weight has bent him. Look at him carefully. He is not defeated by the world. He is defeated by the noise inside his own skull that told him to wait one more day. That man is you, unless you decide right now that he is not. Look at the dust in the morning light. Each particle, a moment spent in deliberation instead of action. A morning you gave to the planning of a life instead of the living of it. This is not metaphor. This is your biography, written in particles too small to hold. The samurai who wastes the dawn does not get it back. The sun does not reverse itself for the man who was not ready. You have lost more mornings than you can count to the comfortable paralysis of preparation. The dust is still falling. What will you do with this one? This morning, this moment, this breath? The frustration you feel is not a flaw, it is pressure. And pressure, contained and directed, is power. But you are venting it into the wrong places, into complaints about timing, into theories about why conditions are not right yet, into the elaborate architecture of reasons why today is not the day. Stop venting. Seal the lid. Let the heat build until there is only one direction left. Forward. Your frustration at your own inaction is the most powerful fuel you possess. Stop wasting it on thoughts. Ignite it into movement. The kettle is full. The fire is ready. Open the valve into action. Look at the trail behind you, not a path, a circle. You have been walking the same ground for years, wearing grooves into the earth with your indecision, the abandoned projects, the research that never became action, the plans that became new plans that became nothing. Each incomplete thing is a weight you still carry. You do not feel it individually, but combined, it is crushing you. The man who finishes things, even imperfect things, travels light. He moves, he builds. The man who only plans carries everything and arrives nowhere. Drop the unfinished thoughts, move forward, leave the circle. Look at the water, no ripple, no movement, no sign of life. This is the surface of a life lived entirely in the mind, still on the outside, raging on the inside, and producing nothing in the world. Every day you do not act, the world becomes a little less shaped by you and a little more shaped by others. The pond that receives no stone grows stagnant. The water that does not move becomes dark. You are not resting, you are not waiting, you are stagnating. And stagnation, unlike failure, produces no lesson. It produces only the slow death of everything you could have been. You are waiting to be whole before you begin. But the whole man does not exist. He never has. What exists is the cracked man who moves anyway, who acts despite the fractures, whose forward motion is itself the gold that fills the breaks. Every action taken in the presence of doubt is a line of gold in the clay. Every step forward made without certainty is a repair in progress. You do not need to fix yourself before you begin. The beginning is the fix. The movement is the mending. Stop waiting to be unbroken. Start moving. Let the gold find its own cracks. Hear the bell. It does not ring twice for the same moment. Each toll is a second you will not see again. A decision unmade, a step not taken, a word left unspoken because you were still calculating the cost. The bell is not cruel, it is honest. It tells you what you already know but refuse to hear. Time is not on your side. It was never on your side. It is indifferent to your plans. It moves, with or without your participation. The bell rings for everyone. But only the man who acts shapes what happens between the tolls, shapes something before the next bell rings. Stand beneath the cold water and let it strip everything away. The theories, the projections, the careful architectures of reason you have built to justify your stillness. The cold does not negotiate. It does not care about your arguments. It simply is. And in its presence, the only thing that remains is the essential you. This is MUSHIN in its rawest form. All thought washed away, leaving only the body and the breath and the next action. You do not need another plan. You do not need more information. You need the cold water. Step in. Let the thinking drown. What emerges will finally be real. Before the first thought arrives, move. This is the protocol. Not after you have assessed the day, not after you have checked the conditions, not after you have decided whether you feel ready. Before the mind wakes up and begins its arguments, the body is already in motion. This is how MUSHIN is built, not through meditation, but through the daily practice of acting before thought has the chance to interfere. The mind, given no opportunity to object, eventually stops objecting. The body, given enough repetition, eventually leads. Wake before the mind wakes. Move before the doubt speaks. The first action of the day is not small. It is a stone dropped into still water, and the ripple travels to the edges of everything that follows. The man who acts before his doubts arrive owns the day. The man who lets the doubts speak first spends the day negotiating with them. Build the protocol. One action before thought every morning. Not because it feels good, not because you are motivated, because the protocol does not require your feelings, it only requires your body. The ripple does not ask the water for permission, it simply moves. Be the stone every single morning. Burn away everything that feeds the thinking mind and starves the acting body. The long deliberations you call planning. The research sessions that never end in a decision. The conversations you have with yourself about whether you are ready. These are not preparation. They are the enemy of MUSHIN, dressed as productivity. Charcoal burns longest when it is pure. Stripped of everything that is not carbon, everything that produces smoke instead of heat. Burn the excess. What remains will burn cleaner, hotter, and longer than anything you have carried before. Purity of action requires the burning of thought. The dojo is empty, but the marks on the floor tell the story. Thousands of strikes, thousands of steps, thousands of repetitions done in silence. No audience, no applause, no external reason to continue except the protocol itself. This is where MUSHIN lives, not in the dramatic moment of action, but in the silent accumulation of practice that makes thought unnecessary. You build a mind without interference the same way you build any skill, through repetition so deep that the body surpasses the brain. Enter the dojo, do the work. Do not think about the work. Let the work think through you. What you do when no one is watching is the only thing that matters. The shadow on the screen is the exact shape of what stands before the light. If your private hours are filled with deliberation, delay, and the comfortable noise of planning, that is the shape the world will eventually see. The man of MUSHIN does not perform differently in public than he acts in private. There is no gap between the thought and the action, because there is no thought before the action. Be in private what you intend to be in public. The shadow does not lie. Make yours worth casting. The path through the gate is not visible from here. It never is. The man who waits for the mist to clear before moving will wait forever. Because the mist does not clear for the stationary. It clears for the moving. This is the discipline of MUSHIN. You do not wait for certainty. You act, and certainty follows the action. You do not wait for clarity. You move, and clarity emerges from the movement. Faith is not the belief that the path is safe. Faith is the decision to walk it anyway. Pass through the gate, not because you can see the road, because you have decided to stop needing to. Commit. The ink does not negotiate with the paper. The moment it strikes, the mark is made. Permanent, total, beyond revision. This is how the mind of MUSHIN approaches every decision, not with analysis, not with escape routes pre-planned, with the full weight of intention placed once without looking back. Half commitment is the most dangerous state. You suffer the cost of change without receiving the transformation. You pay for the strike without landing it. Commit with totality. When the brush falls, let it fall completely. When the decision is made, stop reconsidering it. The ink has landed. Move to the next stroke. There is no destination where MUSHIN is finally achieved and the work ends. The stairs continue beyond what you can see, and that is the point. You are not building a mind without thought, so you can rest. You are building it so you can live at a higher level of action, permanently, The samurai does not train for the moment of combat and then stop. He trains because the training is the life. Every step of discipline taken today builds the man who acts without thought tomorrow. Do not look for the top of the stairs. Look at the step beneath your foot, then take it, then the next. Your attention is the blade, and like the blade, its power is concentrated at the tip, the single point of complete focus directed at the single thing that matters most right now. MUSHIN is not the absence of attention, it is the perfection of it. When the mind is empty of interference, the attention becomes total, not scattered across 10 things, but fully present in this one. Point the tip at the work, not the outcome of the work, not the judgment of the work itself, in this moment with everything you have. This is where MUSHIN lives, in the total commitment of attention to the present task. You are no longer the man who waits. That man is behind you, standing at the gate you have already passed through. What you are now is simpler and more powerful than anything analysis ever produced. You are a man who moves, and a man who moves consistently, without the need for the perfect conditions, becomes a light in the world that others feel before they see, not because he announces himself, because his action fills the space where noise used to be. Your presence is the proof, not your plans, not your intentions. Your action accumulated quietly over time is the only lantern that matters. You are no longer trying to act, you are action. The old identity, the one that needed the perfect moment, the right information, the guaranteed outcome, that identity is the ice, and it is breaking. Not because you forced it, because you became something it could no longer contain. This is the gift of repetition taken far enough. The thing you once had to decide to do becomes the thing you cannot stop doing. The sprout does not fight the ice. It simply grows until the ice has no choice. You are growing. The thinking that once stopped you is cracking beneath the weight of who you are becoming. The incense does not announce itself. It simply is, and its presence fills the room before anyone thinks to look for it. This is the man of MUSHIN. He does not perform his clarity. He does not demonstrate his discipline. He simply acts consistently, without interference, and the quality of his presence becomes undeniable. You do not need to explain what you have become. The action explains itself. The results speak without words. The man who has truly emptied his mind of unnecessary thought finds that his life begins to fill with the things that thought was blocking. Be still inside. Move clearly outside. Let the smoke rise. Look at these marks. They were not made for anyone to see. They were made in the hours before the sun, in the sessions where stopping would have been easier, in the moments when no thought was present, only the action and the breath and the repetition. This is the biography of the man of MUSHIN, not the brilliant decision, not the perfect plan, but the accumulated weight of action, taken without interference, day after day in the dark. Your scars are not what happened to you. They are what you chose to do when no one was watching. Wear them. They're the only credentials that cannot be faked. The world will disrupt you again. A moment will come when the thinking rushes back, when the doubt returns, when the paralysis knocks at the door again. This is not failure. This is the nature of the path, but you are different now. You know how to return. The protocol exists. The practice exists. The memory of action lives in your body, not your mind. and the body remembers faster than doubt can speak. You are not fragile. You are not finished. Every crack that appears is just another opportunity for the gold of your practice to show through. Break, return, act. The bowl is stronger at every mended line. Look how far you have come. The valley where you stood, paralyzed by thought, is far below, so far that you can barely see it. Up here, the air is different, cleaner, thinner. There are fewer people because fewer people are willing to pay the price of the climb. This is not a place of comfort. It is a place of clarity. The thinking that once consumed you has been replaced by something simpler and more powerful. The knowledge that you can act, that you will act, that acting is now who you are. The mountain goes on. Keep climbing. The next step is all that exists. The video ends here, but MUSHIN does not end with it. MUSHIN is not a state you reach once and keep forever. It is a practice that does the daily return to action before thought, to movement before doubt, to the strike before the analysis. What you carry out of this screen is not knowledge. Knowledge was never the problem. What you carry is the reminder. You already know how to act. You have always known. The thinking was never preparation. It was the obstacle. Put the device down. Do not think about what to do next. You already know. Do it. Now, MUSHIN.